Hello, everyone. Welcome to Vaartaalaap. Vaartaalaap means conversation, and I'm your host, Sudita Dasgupta. With immense pleasure, I would like to introduce our guest today. I had the privilege to know him personally from my Toastmaster days in California and having him as my mentor. Besides being an amazing public speaker, he is an educator since last 25 years, a very successful author on impact pricing, and a global leader who have coached numerous businesses on how value-based pricing helps and maintains customer loyalty. His price class maintains a net promoter score of 81, which is even higher than Apple's. In this segment of Vaartaalaap, I'm going to welcome our guest today, Mark Stiving.
Thanks, Sudita. I'm really looking forward to this.
Thank you, Mark. We will start with the Q&A session. So let's start the session by hearing from the pricing guru how he describes impact pricing.
Impact pricing, first it started off as the title of my book in 2011. When I first wrote my book, Entrepreneur Press came up with the name and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
A year and a half ago when I left Pragmatic Marketing, which is who I was working with at the time, I decided to start my own company and I was searching for a name for my company.
Yeah.
And I saw my book, Impact Pricing. I said, wow, that's such a great name. We should just name that the company. So we borrowed the name of the book for the company. It works well. Now I also have a podcast called Impact Pricing.
Mm-hmm.
So impact pricing means a lot of different things at this point in time. But as far as my company is concerned, I spend all of my energy and effort educating companies about pricing and value so I can help them increase revenue and grow margins.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Mark. This leads to my next question. How impact pricing is different from the traditional business model?
Are you talking about my company or are you talking about the concepts that I teach?
The concepts that you teach, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So the concepts I teach, it's like everybody, I teach value-based pricing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say everybody, I say most pricing professionals, we teach value-based pricing. The problem is most companies don't use value-based pricing.
Yeah.
Most companies, especially if you've got a physical hardware product, you tend to use cost plus pricing. And it's really hard to get away from that for so many reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But without a doubt, the single most profitable way that any company could price is to learn how to do value-based pricing. And when I define value-based pricing, I simply define it as charge what a customer is willing to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Now that seems really easy. It's really easy to say. It's just really hard to figure out how much is a customer willing to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll ask a quick question. Let's say you're willing to pay $100 for something.
Yep.
If it costs me $10 to make it, how much should I charge you for it?
Mm-hmm.
$100, because that's what you're willing to pay. If it costs me
Plus the
$80
profit.
to make it, well, that's a lot of profit and I'm thrilled, right?
Yeah.
Think about how much it costs to make the next piece of software.
Mm-hmm.
It costs zero. And yet no matter what price you charge for that, the margin is huge.
Sure. Yeah.
So the cost shouldn't be driving our pricing. Our customers' willingness to pay should be driving our pricing.
Mm-hmm. So in this diverse field, we have got different customers who are willing to pay a range of price, like X to X into X, for a particular product. So how is that managed?
Phenomenal question, because it turns out the single most profitable decision a company can make is to adopt value-based pricing.
Mm-hmm.
The second most profitable decision a company can make is to do price segmentation.
Okay.
And
Yep.
price segmentation simply means we're going to charge different customers different prices based on their willingness to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes this feels unfair. It depends on how it's implemented, but you're going to find that this happens all the time.
Yeah.
In the B2B world, if you've got a direct salesperson negotiating prices, what that means is that every customer out there paid a different price because they negotiated a different price with the salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
That's price segmentation. In the B2C world, We often see price segmentation. Students get discounts at movie theaters,
Yeah.
right? That's price segmentation. We charge different prices to different customers.
Mm-hmm.
We give volume-based discounts. That's price segmentation.
Mm-hmm.
We use coupons. Some people use coupons, some people don't use coupons. That's
Mm-hmm.
price segmentation. So
Okay.
there's lots and lots of techniques for how to charge different people different prices. Once you've said, yes, we're going to go figure out how to do this, then the fun begins.
Mm-hmm. So whenever you approach a business or say B2B or B2C, the strategies as well as the techniques vary based on who the target audience is. Yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, the single most important thing that companies should be doing, and
Mm-hmm.
so few companies do today, understand how their buyers perceive value.
Yeah.
I've talked about value-based pricing, and I want to charge what my customers are willing to pay. How do
Mm-hmm.
I know what they're willing to pay? Well, it depends on how they think about my product. It depends on how
Yeah.
they value my product.
Mm-hmm.
And most companies, when you ask them, how do your customers value your products, they don't know how to answer that question.
Yeah.
And what that means to me is they don't know how much their customers are willing to pay. They don't know which customers are willing to pay more than which other customers because they don't know how they value their products.
Yeah.
If I could teach companies one thing, it would be how to do that. Because
Mm-hmm.
once you understand that, it makes all of running a business so much easier.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, what are the kind of techniques that business rely on, like whom you are teaching, like surveys or something else? Like I'm only aware of surveys. So, is that something? So, what are the techniques basically the companies employ or use to understand what their customers are willing to pay? Is that something that you teach as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Probably the single most important way to go do this, at least in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
is do something that we'll call a value conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And a value conversation is where you go talk to a potential buyer, you talk to a potential customer, and you learn from them. You learn how to talk, how to ask the questions. You're not trying to lead them. You're really trying to understand the way they think about your products.
Mm-hmm.
And in the very end, you can get it to where they tell you, this is how much this is worth to me, or
Yeah.
this is how much this feature is worth to me.
Yeah.
Now, in the B2B world, it's easier to get to the dollar value
Mm-hmm.
because pretty much everything you do for a customer who's another business, they're only going to buy from you because you're somehow making them or saving them money.
Yeah.
And so somehow we can get that to the dollar value on the other end. In B2C, it's a little hard. If you're talking about fashion or something like that, it's
Mm-hmm.
really hard for a customer to say, oh, I would pay this much more for this fashion item, feeling, whatever. So on
Mm-hmm.
that side, it's a little bit harder, but still I could tell when your eyes light up. I could see that. I could tell what you get excited by.
Yeah.
These value conversations, what they do is it gives me a chance to learn how people think. Now, not everybody thinks the exact same way,
Yeah.
but once I get a good feeling for how different people might think, then it makes a ton of sense to put out surveys to find out how many people think this way and how many people think that way. And
Mm-hmm.
that's going to guide a lot of my business decisions.
That sounds wonderful. And how do you tackle the global clients like a particular business, a big business, will be targeting customers from different market areas, like consider diversity, their eating, dressing, all those kind of habits. So, how is that managed to decide a particular product which will be distributed across the globe to diverse customers?
Very interesting question. So it's both a pricing question and it's a business slash marketing question,
Yeah.
right? So the first question is, should you even put the product in different industries?
Okay.
So I hear in China, they love to eat chicken feet. I
Mm-hmm.
can tell you in the US, nobody eats chicken feet, right? So does it matter if we ship chicken feet to the US? Absolutely not. So
Mm-hmm.
there isn't a market there. We absolutely have to understand the different markets, desires, what they like. And then we want to build the right products for the right markets. So now let's talk about pricing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Maybe there are some people in the US that would try chicken feet if we had it, or there's some people who like it. So maybe we charge a much lower price in the US for
Mm-hmm.
that, and we charge a higher price in China because it's a delicacy or they really like it.
Yeah.
But what we're trying to do is we're trying to look at, based on these, we'll call them geographical segments, can
Yeah.
we determine that people behave differently, have a different willingness to pay for the products? And so we might price differently. Now,
Mm-hmm.
in the world of international, it actually gets much more complicated because we have two other big issues we have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
One issue is currency. So we have exchange rates and exchange rate fluctuations.
Yes.
So where are we pricing it? What currency are we using to price it? Who's going to take the currency fluctuation risk?
Mm-hmm.
Those are tough decisions to make inside a company. And then the other one we have to deal with is arbitrage. Now, arbitrage means I could buy something really cheap over here and then I could resell it over there.
Yeah.
So let's go with the chicken feed example. We're charging less in the US, we're charging more in China. Some really smart person goes to the US, buys up all the chicken feet at a really low price, ships them to China and resells them at a really high price.
Yep.
So that's arbitrage. And as a company, we lost out on the opportunity, assuming we're the company that sells the chicken feet, we lost out on the opportunity because we sold it at a really low price in the US, where we could
Mm-hmm.
have just sold it at a higher price in China.
Yep.
So we have to deal with these arbitrage issues as well.
That sounds really complicated and sometimes challenging as well.
International gets more challenging, absolutely.
Us. So, based on my research, your price class maintains a net promoter score of 81, which I already stated it's higher than Apple's. So, I'm sure your approach must be definitely unique. So, what is the engagement strategy that you employ with your clients without looking into your trade secrets?
So those scores come from my on-site classes. So if
Mm-hmm.
I'm standing in front of a room full of people who are interested in learning about pricing, they will walk out of that room thinking completely differently than when
Yeah.
they walked into the room. What I find so amazing about pricing is that almost nobody understands what it really is, how to do it, how to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have somebody like me explain to you what's going on, you just have so many different aha moments during the day.
Of course.
So,
Yep.
so of course we have the laughter that's going on and we tell the stories and we get this engagement happening in the classroom. All of that happens, but that's why people really, really like those courses.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays with the coronavirus, I do much, much more work on Zoom
Yep.
online, and so the engagement's a little harder, but we're still doing well.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. So, as we are already talking about NPS and global clients, in today's competitive market, companies often need to revisit the product prices. So, what would be the one thing that should be considered while revisiting the pricing without hurting the emotions of the customers?
Boy, that last little sentence implied increasing prices because
Mm-hmm.
customers don't get mad if we lower prices at
Yep,
all.
that's absolutely true.
um, so let's assume that you decided that you could raise prices. Your market would let you. What's the one thing you want to be thinking of?
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, you need to find a way to raise prices in a way that is accepted with as little pressure as possible, as little pushback as possible. The first thing I would say is try to blame something that your
Mm-hmm.
buyers would believe in. And
Yep.
so the first thing your buyers would tend to believe is if your costs go up, you get to raise your prices. Now,
Yep.
I preach against cost plus pricing. I don't think our costs should drive our pricing at all.
Mm-hmm.
However, our customers don't know that. And if our prices are going to go up, one of the only excuses they'll really accept is that our costs went up.
Okay.
So I'm
Yep.
perfectly okay with making them feel better by saying our costs went up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you have a subscription business and you want to raise the prices of your subscription customers, I would
Mm-hmm.
do something slightly different. I would still blame my costs, don't get me wrong.
Yep.
But what I would also do is I would also try to increase my prices in a very systematic or tiered method. I would
Mm-hmm.
start with the people who love my product. And I know that they love my product because they have the highest usage. I'm watching the usage that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And those people are very unlikely to unsubscribe if I raise their prices.
Yep.
I raise my prices on them. I watch very few people unsubscribe. I made a lot of money. That was really good. So then I
Mm-hmm.
go to the next tier and I raise my prices on the next tier, again, based on usage. So what are the ones that I haven't raised prices on that are using my product the most? And pretty soon we're going to get to a point where enough people churn out of my business that I lost more money than I made through the price increase.
Yep.
So the people below that point, I don't raise their prices. I just
Okay.
leave their price alone because I'm making money and they're not using the product that much. So if I raise their prices, I'm probably going to lose them. Why raise their prices?
Yep. Makes absolute sense. Yeah. So, customers and their ever changing emotions. What are the different techniques that a business can employ to identify the right price that a customer is willing to pay when the companies are planning to increase the price of a product?
I don't know that there's a difference in terms of the technique for a price increase than there is for just pricing in particular. Because what I always want to understand is how much is my customer willing to pay?
Yep.
And once I understand that, that guides what I want to do. Now, when I'm thinking about a price increase, we're
Mm-hmm.
back to what am I going to blame it on? How am I going to explain it to them? I need to give them something so that the thing you cannot go say to a customer is we're raising your price because we want to make more profit,
Mm-hmm.
right? Customers will not accept that as an answer and they will hate you. And so we have to give them some reasonable reason. It may be that our costs went up. It may be that our competitors are driving prices way up in the industry. It may be that it's hard to find demand or hard to find supply for the
Mm-hmm.
products that we want to sell to them. But there's got to be a good reason. That's the emotional hit, the emotional tink. Um, the the other thing we could do is try to keep them not overly unhappy. So in a subscription world, what I like to do is tell them that I've raised my prices,
Yep.
but I'm going to hold their price steady for the next year, right? Pick a number of days.
Mm-hmm.
And then when a year comes up, I'll send them the email that says, hey, remember, we raised prices, but we didn't raise yours. Well, now it's time. And so they're
Mm-hmm.
a little less anxious when we do that. They still don't like us, don't get me wrong, but they're
Yep.
a little less anxious because we did something nice for them as we were raising prices.
Mm-hmm. Which means impact pricing definitely has a role to play to forecast the price of a product for futures, the next 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we as a company predict prices and what's going on, but the methodologies that we
Mm-hmm.
teach, especially in subscriptions, right? I
Okay.
love the subscription business model nowadays. So,
Mm-hmm.
especially in subscriptions, we should be thinking years down the road in terms of what features do we put in which of our packages and can we get customers to pay us more and more over
Mm-hmm.
time? Absolutely crucial for us to be thinking about long
Yeah.
term.
Yeah, of course. And the last one for the day, besides being a mentor, teacher, coach, you are also an author, and your book, Impact Pricing, is very popular. So, are there any more publications pipelined for future?
I actually have a book that I've written the first draft of already.
Wow.
Um, it is called Accelerate Your Subscription Business. Although I'm sure by the time the publisher gets a hold of it, it will have a different title.
Yeah.
But it's all about subscriptions and how to
Mm-hmm.
think about pricing and packaging in your subscription business. And then I have another one on the drawing board right after this one, which
Okay.
I'm really excited about. I really want to go write it. I just don't have the time yet. But it is 21 First Principles of Pricing.
Wow.
And
Sounds amazing.
it is what I think of every time someone asks me a pricing question. I
Mm-hmm.
always go back to one or more of these basic principles that I always use. And I thought, gee,
Okay.
wouldn't it be great if I could document those and tell people what I always think of?
That's amazing. Well, good luck for that, Mark. And we'll wait to hear back from you as well as read and hear about your publications as well. And with that, we conclude our session today. It was really nice speaking to you again. Thank you very much for your time. And on behalf of Vaartaalaap, I wish you loads of success in the coming days.
Thank you, Sudita. Great talking to you.
Thanks a lot. Stay tuned for next Vaartaalaap. I'm your host, Sudita Dasgupta. Goodbye.